Hey everybody, I am back from vacation and it looks like there has been a lot of stuff going on in the almost month now that I've been gone. So turns out if you're running out of stuff that you want to make content about, just take a month off and then make videos about that stuff that's happened in that month. But the first thing I want to talk about is actually something I made a video about a little while ago, talking about the iPad mini and why it is my personal favorite iPad and why I consider it the last true iPad, because Apple just updated it. So we went from the iPad mini 6 to, well, they're not calling it the iPad mini 7, they're calling it the iPad mini A17 Pro. There's some changes, not a lot of them, so it's a shorter video, but we're going to talk about it anyway and sort of ease our way back into content. So let's dive in with the update to the iPad mini. So right out of the gate with this iPad mini refresh, nothing has changed externally. We have the same 8.3-inch P3 color display, we have the same front-facing camera, rear-facing camera, the same button placement with the fingerprint reader, the same dual speakers, and most of the same colors. Purple seems to be slightly different and they replaced pink with blue, but we still have Starlight and we still have Space Gray. So if you're looking at one of these new iPads and you want to be able to tell if somebody has the new version or the old version, the only way to tell is if they got the slightly different purple model or blue. Otherwise, it's identical, which is a good thing because that means that you can reuse your old cases if you're upgrading from this version to the new version, which I don't recommend you do. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But otherwise, everything else is the same. So what actually changed? Well, obviously, with Apple's new push for Apple Intelligence on things like the iPad Pros, the new Mac models, and of course the iPhones, well, it's the iPad mini's turn as well. For this refresh, they're not calling it the iPad mini 7 for some reason. They're calling it the iPad mini A17 Pro because, get this, it's running the A17 Pro chip. I know, crazy, never would have guessed that. But they're running the same chip as the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max because those are the chips that will, at minimum, allow it to use the new Apple Intelligence features. And this actually kind of makes sense because with the iPad mini lineup, it's always been kind of just behind something like the iPad Air and way behind the iPad Pro, but it's still been up there in terms of features, sort of above the basic iPad, but still below some of the upper tier models. Because if somebody's going to buy basically the only iPad in its class, being the mini, you might as well get features that are going to be worth the money. And speaking of the money, the prices haven't changed. If you're going to buy this new iPad mini, you'll still be paying $499 for the Wi-Fi version and $649 for the cellular version, but alongside getting the new Apple Intelligence features and the processor that in raw performance is about 30% faster and in graphics performance is about 25% faster with ray tracing, you're also getting double the storage. And that's actually pretty cool for somebody who might take this on a long trip, wants to put a bunch of TV shows on it or movies, stuff like that. It feels like going from 64 to 128 is going to make it feel like you're getting more for your money. For me personally, not really a big deal. This thing is a book, a media consumption device. It's basically what the original iPad was meant to be. It sits between my phone and my Mac. And I did a whole video about why I think this is the last true iPad. After this video, you can check that out right over there. But for me personally, the extra storage isn't a huge deal, but I'm sure for people who really use these things a lot, dump a ton of stuff on it, that is a fantastic addition. But the last thing they changed with this actually goes back to sort of what I mentioned earlier in the video, which is that the physical design of this has not changed. So my magnetic folio case will work on the iPad mini 6, and it's also going to work on the iPad mini A17 Pro, which I'm just going to call the iPad mini 7 because saying the other one is a lot of words for no reason. But anyway, this magnetic case works fine, and all the other external accessories work just fine, except for the Apple Pencil. This last feature is one that I'm sure is going to piss off quite a few people, which is that the second generation Apple Pencil, the one that works on the iPad Pro M1 and the M2 and on this iPad mini 6, doesn't work on the iPad mini 7. Instead, you can either use the USB-C Apple Pencil, which is, in my opinion, kind of an affront to God, considering you need to use this stupid adapter, or you get the new Apple Pencil Pro, which is much more expensive. Like just going onto Apple's website to look at the differences between the Apple Pencil Pro and the Apple Pencil, which again are the only two compatible with this new iPad mini, Apple shows off 13 key features of the Apple Pencil Pro. And the Apple Pencil USB-C version, which charges via USB-C cable, has 5. of those key features. It doesn't have Find My. It doesn't wirelessly connect to the side of the iPad and charge or pair. You have to plug it in with a cable. It's just such a stupid thing to leave out. And, oh, I didn't even realize this. The Apple Pencil standard doesn't have pressure sensitivity. Yeah, no, I would never buy that based on principle alone. It's such a stupid pencil, and I understand they made it for the person who just wants a stylus, you know, the grandparents who use the little fake finger styluses on their phones, but like, you're Apple. Put a bit more flair into it. I'm not carrying around a USB-C cable just to charge my iPad and the pencil. I want to just slap it on the side of the iPad so it's ready to go when I need to use it, but anyway, I digress. Point is, Apple Pencil rant aside, this upgrade for the iPad mini, I think, is a solid upgrade, and credit where it's due. Apple kept the core idea of the iPad mini the same. It is still the last true iPad that sits between the phone and the Mac. They didn't go and add a bunch of extra laptop features. They didn't go and make it this crazy overpowered system that has all of these wild features that nobody's ever going to use or people might get lost in it trying to use. It is still a basic but powerful piece of equipment. And I'm happy that they did. I'm happy they didn't change anything. I'm happy that it's just getting Apple Intelligence and a slight speed boost, and I'm actually really glad it uses the same accessories, because if I do upgrade at any point, I can just carry everything except my Apple Pencil forward with this iPad, though I'm probably not going to do that because I am more than happy with this thing, and the double storage is nice. Either way, that's been it. I'm actually interested to see how the performance of the A17 Pro chip is inside the iPad, considering that when you have it inside of something as kind of confined as an iPhone, it could potentially overheat if you're really pushing it. So to give it a bit more of a cooling envelope will be interesting to see. Otherwise, though, it's a solid upgrade, and if you're looking to upgrade, it's going to be on pre-order. I think it is on pre-order right now. Go check it out. It's a solid iPad, still my favorite iPad of all time. Just the perfect balance, and I think that if you're looking for something that is just an iPad and not a laptop running iPad OS, get the mini. But either way, that's been it. I am back on that content grind. I'm excited to get back into it. I have been going through, and I've been rambling long enough that my camera died. Anyway, I've been on a massive retro phase. I have an original Xenon motherboard Xbox that has not been serviced. I'm making a video about that soon. And I got a bunch of retro controllers or Hyperkin Remake controllers. I got a lot of stuff going on. Plus, we got to talk about Halo moving to Unreal Engine 5. So lots of stuff in the pipelines. Keep an eye out. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this content, definitely leave a like. Leave some comments letting me know what you all think about the iPad mini. And otherwise, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for being here, and have a good one.